Hello and many thanks for joining OBN Horn of Africa. This is our weekly program, Diplomacy, and I'm Fantambelete hosting this program. In this edition, we are going to discuss the current reform on macroeconomy of Ethiopia. Today, to talk about this issue, I'm joined by former Ambassador of Ethiopia to United Nations and European Union, Ambassador Trone Zena. Till the end of our program, stay with us. Ambassador, very warm welcome to this program.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Great. Before we dive into our discussion, would you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Well, I've served my country as career diplomat, in fact, for 30 plus years in different places, at home and abroad. I served at different levels as counselor, minister, and so on and so forth. You know, it took me 21 years to be an ambassador, finally. That's my service. I also served before that in the area of development with SIDA for 5 years. And I served also finally as a Human Rights Commissioner for 5+ years. So in total, I served my country for 40+ years. Finally, I'm here as pensioner.
Oh, that means you're a veteran ambassador. What are you proud of the things that you did?
Well, you know, I'm proud of serving my country for 40 years continuously. You know, many people don't do that kind of thing because while you are abroad serving your country, there are also other opportunities coming to you, you know. Say, for example, I served at the UN for 8 years. There are possibilities or opportunities to join UN. And the salaries and the benefits you get from that organization is far, far more better than I get from my country. But serving my country makes me proud. So I served 40 years without any, you know, misgivings. And secondly, I served as a UN, as an ambassador and as a diplomat. So I did so many things, you know. My country is probably being accused, and I protected it in many ways. And we got also a lot of assistance from the UN bodies. In that negotiation, I played significant role, major role, not only for Ethiopia, but for African countries. That makes me happy. And there was times when sanctions hovered over Ethiopia, you know, during the Eritrean War, 2005, you know, when were a problem at home. During those times, sanctions hovered over Ethiopia. But I try to protect my country. Of course, not me alone, but there are other big guys. But I was a front person. So I did a lot of things. And I negotiated when I was in Brussels. I negotiated the African and African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries and the AU agreements. And through that agreement, we get some 500 million euro at that time. Now it is much more. So these are kind of things that makes me proud, you know. I brought the hard currency, which is very much needed to my country. I protected my country from sanctions and other things. And I served continuously without any. So that all makes me proud of.
Thank you very much. Let's come back to our agenda of the day. Ethiopia has recently introduced a new financial reform shifting to a free floating exchange rate system. What is the new currency system all about?
You know, the new currency system is a floating regime or a floating exchange rate. What is a floating rate, and what was the exchange rate regime that we used before that? It is called fixed exchange rate system. We use that kind of system for let me say so many years, from the time of Haile Selassie, Derg, and then finally we started to sort of float or devalue the existing fixed rate system. And it is our first time that we, before I go into, the floating system, what is the disadvantage of the fixed rate system? Because during those times, there were continuous inflation, in the country. There was also, currency, foreign currency shortage, which was very serious. So there was also contrabands, because there were different exchange rate system. Your exchange rate, the government decided exchange rate is something like, say, it was $2 and some cents, some during the time of emperor, and it continued during the time of Derg, and it was only in 1991 that we started to devalue the money, and the exchange rate sort of moved up and down, But there was a parallel exchange rate system, black market, which dominated the country's activity. Of course, people used more the black market rather than the legal system, which is undertaken by the banks, So the black market activity weakened the birr, In the black market, the birr is 120 or so, Though the government exchange rate is 50-something, And it was dominating, and it was creating parallel activities that was making a shortage of foreign currency and aggravating inflation. So the government has to take action, serious action, and that's why the government went into the free-floating exchange system. The advantage of free-floating exchange system is it is market-directed, So there is no ground for the black market to dominate the economic activity, because it is the floating system makes that impossible or almost impossible, because the people get whatever they wanted from the market based on the supply and the demand. And I think that will also facilitate the flow of money from abroad. Say, for example, before people used to, the Ethiopians abroad used to send their money through, their friends, and they exchange it through black market. So now they can do through bank, and the exchange rate will be almost the same. So the money starts coming through the formal system. So that increases the availability of foreign exchange. Thirdly, most importantly, it creates this open system, free system. People knows, investors, most important, investors knows what their money worth here, how they can exchange it. And this coupled with a recent decision by the government to allow the foreign banks to come to Ethiopia, makes the investors extremely, happy, so that they can come, they can work with the banks they know. For example, an American who want to invest in Ethiopia, when he comes, if there is an American bank in Ethiopia, it is very much easier for him to work with the bank which he knows before when he was in the United States. That will encourage investment in Ethiopia. So the advantage is, I think, money. I can say it is money. And not only that, we are going to join the World Trade Organization, WTO. And we have already signed, I think, the African Free Trade Area. All those needs open system. The closed system which we were using cannot take us through those activities and those organizations. So we need to join the world. It is, I think, out of 190 plus countries in the world, I think majority, I don't know, 100 or more, they use this floating system. Why should we remain, somewhere in different, unknown and unpopular area, So, and before, economically we were nothing. We were not important. Our economic activity was not significant. Some 5-6 years ago, Ethiopian GDP was 80 billion. Today it doubled. This never happened in the world, There is no country which doubled its GDP in 10 years. What the world regarded as miracle, which is the Chinese growth, it took 10 years to double its GDP. I think the British and the French before that, it took 100 years to double their GDP. So we are growing fast, and we are joining this and that organization, and our economy is becoming significant, in Africa and beyond. So we need to be in the right track to continue to grow, and of course influence also the economic and social activity in Africa and beyond.
Can we say that this is the reason for Ethiopia's decision to introduce this currency reform?
One of the many reasons. This is one of the reasons which I consider very important. There is the reason of inflation, for black market, and lack of foreign exchange, and lack of clarity, in the economic and social areas. All these are reasons. But the one I said lastly, that we are becoming significant economic player and joining so many organizations compels us also.
Thank you so much. So do you think that this new currency reform addresses the previous problems facing the economy of the country?
I think so, because it is there is no reason, for example, for other people to go to the black market if the exchange rate is decided by demand and supply in official area. Why should they go to black market? And it will also discourage contraband. Why do they people, take their commodity through other area? Because the exchange rate is in that country and in Ethiopia is not the same. They get advantage when they export it, for example, gold or animals through neighboring countries. They get more money. Now not, because it is a market which is deciding. That market is sovereign in Ethiopia and sovereign in those neighboring countries. So it discourages contraband. Contraband is one of the things which is killing the Ethiopian economy. You know that. Yes. So this is also against contraband. Its usefulness is multifaceted, I could say.
Thank you, Ambassador. What are the opportunities and challenges awaiting Ethiopia's economy due to this currency reform?
Well, concerning the opportunities, I have already explained. I think there are so many opportunities. I think the opportunities added up, as I said, a number of opportunities. They will enhance the economic growth of Ethiopia, and it will fulfill Ethiopia's aspiration to be middle-level country in its economic activity, in its economic activity. So this is one. Secondly, opportunities are, as I explained, so many. It will also, in the long run, will minimize the effect of inflation, and it will also enhance growth. By so doing, it will decrease unemployment, especially the youth unemployment, which is very problematic in Ethiopia. So there are these core, very important opportunities which we will get through this reform. This reform, as you know, it did not come, singly. It also coupled with other reforms, such as opening for the financial sector for foreign banks, and opening also activities which were closed before to foreigners, and opening also investment areas for foreigners, which was closed before that. So all these, coupled with this financial reform, will for sure enhance and make sustainable Ethiopia's growth.
Thank you. In relation with what you have said, this currency reform is said to be part of long-term structural reforms Ethiopia is working on to realize sustainable economic development. What are these structural reforms expected in Ethiopia?
Ethiopia has already started taking it, opening up this sector and that sector, making financial reform as it has done today. All these are structural problems, which became constraint for further growth and development. The shortage of foreign currency, the most important ones, the gap between import and export. We export some 3 or 4 billion, but import something like 17 or more billion from abroad. This cannot go. This is structural problem. So this reform, coupled with others I mentioned, will narrow the gap, the export-import gap, and will solve that kind of structural problems which are facing the country. This is so. It is in one package. This is part of the package. Take all those packages combined will make Ethiopian economy competitive, continue to grow, and, make it a significant player in the world economic and other areas.
By formally liberalizing the currency program, Ethiopia aims to project transparency and attract much needed foreign capital. Why foreign capital?
Well, it is the most significant constraint I'm saying, for economic growth at this time is the lack of foreign capital, because we have land, we have young educated population, we have other resources, but we lack capital. You need machineries, for example. If you want to produce something, you may have gold or other in your soil, but if you don't have a machinery, you can't use it. To buy a machinery, you need capital. We don't produce capital, machinery. That's why we need foreign exchange. This is simply one example. There are other 100 examples why we need foreign capital. And if we minimize or eliminate this constraint, which is foreign capital, then there is no other constraint which could stop us from growing fast and meeting all our aspiration in short period of time.
The latest liberalization of the birr comes accompanied by a complementary package of financial support for external partners designed to alleviate the transition pains associated with these shifts. How helpful will these financial supports be?
Well, it will be very much helpful, because in the short run, just liberalization will have very serious impact on especially poor people, the ones who are less fortunate. That's why the government said that it will increase the salary of its workers, the lower category workers. And also in the cities there are very poor people. The most important thing is the long-term issue. In the long term, the most important thing is not financial issue, but it is trade and investment. Finance is important, but trade and investment is more important. It is trade and investment which will, in the long run, alleviate all the problems, the economic, the gap between import and export, the currency problem, and all that in the long run has to be minimized through investment and trade, which is very important. Countries should assist us at this very time when we are trying to as the Prime Minister said, jump frog, to go to the second level, immediately. So we need assistance, we need encouragement, we need support, but not only finance, trade and investment. In this regard, I want to mention or to raise the issue of AGOA. We have been using AGOA for some time, and since a year or two, we were barred from that. That is very harmful for the Ethiopia's economic activity. It is also very harmful, for the boys and girls who were employed in the sectors which were exporting to the United States. AGOA was harmful in that regard. We Ethiopia and the United States have diplomatic relation and have been good relation for since 1903. over 100 years. You know, we are such a country. We were a friendly country. We stood with the United States in maintaining peace and stability in the world. And Ethiopia is poised to do the same today. You know, Ethiopia must be encouraged, especially in this time. You know, the world, the international situation, be it an economic, political, it is not encouraging. You know, the socio-economic. Look at what is happening in the Middle East, politically, and it is volatile world. In that world, a country like Ethiopia must be supported, encouraged, not sidelined. You know, so I appeal to the United States and its government to reconsider the issue of AGOA. You know, because Ethiopia is taking every measure to rectify its economy, political system, and to contribute its level best to the world peace and stability. You don't discourage that kind of country. You know, I hope at the end wisdom will reign, and Ethiopia will be taken as a member of AGO very soon.
I really appreciate. Thank you very much. What should be the role of citizens to support this economic reform and realizing a sustainable economic development in Ethiopia?
You know, I wish I am a young guy like you. You know, Ethiopia is in a very good position. You know, to move forward. Ethiopia is in a position to be, you know, a leader in many ways, economic, political, and social. Because this is a country with 120 million people. This is a country with, you know, history of thousands of years of independence, experience here and there. This is a country which fought for peace and stability in Africa and beyond. You know, so we need to stand with our government. We need to assist our government to move further, so that our children tomorrow will be, you know, not a poor country begging for this and that, but a country that helps others, you know, that helps others economically and politically, that donates to others to alleviate poverty in the world. This is what I could say.
Thank you very much. Have you got any final message before we end this session, Ambassador?
To the youth. The youth has all opportunity to make this country great. You know, that responsibility they have. They should not run away from this responsibility, and they will really regret, you know, if they run away from this responsibility. This is what I can say for the youth. Of course, Ethiopia, concerning the government, it's all beautiful. Go ahead.
Dear viewers, this brings us to the end. Thank you for watching and stay connected with other programs of OBN Horn of Africa.